Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the Geelong versus Melbourne game, going through who went well, who didn't go so well, and how it was a pretty good game for me. Didn't have any rookies, only had Stewart and Petrarca, and they both went over 100, so it set up my week pretty well. Good to have a VC on Petrarca, but I mean I had so many other guys go above him that it was quite ridiculous this round. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on. I should be able to get all these reviews out by the end of Tuesday, and then be on to Wednesday, Thursday, have all the content out for the next round, and then hopefully we'll be back to a more regular upload schedule in the coming weeks. So let's get into the video. So as you can see here, Duncan 120 was the second top scorer, and yeah, he just put on 84 in the second half. Didn't really expect this. I don't think we should expect him to do this well week in, week out. I think he probably is a little bit too risky of an option to go to at the moment, as we've only seen, I think, one good score or so. If we look at Duncan here, we look here, Duncan, I go over to here, we've seen a 74, a 109, 74, 120, so that's what, 100 break it, 100 last three, and he's 733k, but he's 32 years old and has only played 8 out of 14 games. I wouldn't be picking him up, to be honest. I would wait at least until you have some consistency, and then maybe for the lucky few you can have him on the bench as sort of that, if you're so lucky that you have so much cash gen, you can get him on the bench as sort of that roaming D7 option, as well as pushing him on field and having other people push out in the midfield, etc. Gary Rowland 102 knocked out Cameron early and then proceeded to play actually pretty well. Tom Stewart got a lot late to be able to get up to the 38 in the last quarter to get up to 100 in total. Was tracking not the best, but then had a big last quarter and kicked it up to get the 100. Blicavs 91 had a huge last quarter to get again up towards that 90 range. Atkins 85, Bruin 82. He had a really good first, but then fell away. So yeah, 37 in the first, 10, 16, 19. So 47 first half, 35 second. Brad close, pretty even spread. Holmes, Henry, Smith, Beers. No one else really here to talk about. And then you have Jesse Cameron getting concussed on -3. It doesn't even show up because it was that early. And then on Melbourne's side, you have Petrarca here, 125, pretty good, 24, 29, 35, 37, so really consistent splits as well. I did think halfway through the game that he had missed, I swear he'd missed a shot or something like that. Might have been in the third quarter as well. He kept on, how do I say this? He kept on being just there or thereabouts, but not being like, Dawson's able to rack up the tackles and the marks very quickly, but it seems like with Petrarca, he goes in very, very short spurts. If we look here, here's well, not really, but you'll see this short spurt here where he goes, and in the space of basically 3.5 minutes, he puts on 9, 13, 10, 14, 16 points in about 3.5 minutes. You see here as well, he put on 7 in 30 seconds. And then you see it again, here's a short spurt here. Was another one. He does this very often where he has, like here as well, you've got 11 and 16 in the space of 2.5 minutes. Things like this where he just goes on a 2.5 minute run where he picks up 10 or so fantasy points, and then he dies down for another like 3 or 4, or at least like 5 or 6 minutes. It can be a little bit frustrating, but he gets to the score. It's just he gets to it in a different way compared to like if we look at Duncan here, Duncan's probably the same just because he has like the kick mark. But if we look here, there's no real big, I mean this was a spurt here, and this one here I guess, but he does have more a consistent spread across it. I mean here as well, this little bit here where he has what's he got here? 12 in a minute here as well. So, but he's a backman, so I mean it's sort of understandable. Whereas if we look at, well, Viney has the same thing. He has a big spurt. So it looks like Melbourne midfielders have a big run-ons. Look at Viney here. He has in the first 10 minutes here he's got 5, 9, 12, 14. And then again here. So it seems like there's different types of players that get to their score. I think Petrarca is a little bit of a nervy one because he can go on big spurts. And also, I mean, if we take out time on, he's on 6, 9, 13 in the quarter basically until time on, which wasn't tracking well. And he was going to end probably around 40, 42, and then he ended up 53 in the quarter, so he can get a little bit nerve-wracking. Petrarca does like to do a lot of his work in the red time, so that is a little bit worrying because that's when if he doesn't get that work done in the red time, he does seem to have a lower score. And then you got Rivers here, 95, pretty good output from him. Brayshaw just hasn't been on it this whole year, just putting up 80s upon 80s and stuff. I think his role's sort of been taken by Rivers and others, and it just hasn't helped. And then we moved to Langdon, 84, got involved in this game. Hunter, 82, was tracking pretty well except for this last quarter. Sparrow, 77, Salem, Pickett Grundy, May, Neil Bullen. No one else here really does anything. Chandler, if anyone has him, might be getting off of him because he's going to hold at 490, or it has hold at 490. You got McVie, who's probably near enough the end of what he's going to do. So I'd be looking to get to, well, this is my team structure actually in terms of value, etc. And I just have the 2 rookies here at the moment, but I'd be looking to at least get down to maybe one rookie, or some people have no rookies and they've got a guy, I guess, on field. They've got a lot of mid prices, whereas I don't really have any mid prices. Like Keys is putting up let's look at his last 3 of 104 and last 5 of 95. That's pretty good for an F6. Darcy Cameron is pretty much the same. And then you've got Rosie and the big 4. I would like to be able to get, if I look at here and I go to all positions and I go to midfielders and then I go by average, I got basically Oliver, Sarong, and then I go to L3. You've got even Mitchell as well because he put up a good performance, so could get him. But I could also try and push towards getting like Rory Laird, etc. So he put up a good performance again, and this performance wasn't with like tackles. Could look to get Butters as well. So there's plenty of guys that I'm looking at. I just need to pick the right guy. Where was that? 950k. I don't know if I can get to 950k necessarily. It might be that I might have to package Wilmot and Johnson together next week, as that gets me to around about 960 at the moment, which would be 1100, and hope those two go up by 50k or so. But we could also use Sheldrick might also be of use, but he's got a minus 40 break even. So if he goes 110 next week, which he could, he'll go up another like 100k. So he could quite easily do the Sheasel rise and go up dramatically very quickly. But we'll just have to wait and see with that. But I don't think I'll be getting any Melbourne players, as they just haven't looked consistent enough. It will only be Oliver if he comes back and performs well enough to get that spot in. And I don't think I'll be getting any Geelong players, as they just don't look consistent enough. Hence Stewart, I think, is the highest averager here, and I think his average is so much affected still by that 14 game. If you take that out, I think he's still looking at around the 94, 95 range. If we go 13 times 90.7 minus 14, and then divide by 12, he's looking at 97 if you take out that game. So he's looking like almost a top 6 defender in itself just off that game. taking out that game, and Hayden Young will be fixed up through Sheldrick, I believe, or potentially someone else, as it does look like I need. I thought I did have the cash in to be able to do these moves, but maybe I've underdone myself here. But I think I'll be able to make the moves of being able to get, if I can get Rory Laird, that means that Petrarca is my M5 now, which would be pretty good, but we'll have to wait and see with that. I think Rory Laird is a good option, but I also could realise that Sheldrick and Windhager aren't going to go up much, and but Sheldrick could easily go up to 550k quite easily here with the minus 40 break even, so he might enable me to go big, because I might be able to get Rory Laird this time next week, because I know that Sheldrick has had a decent game, and he's going to be at, like, say, 450 or 460k and still have a negative break even. I might wager on that, him and Windhager being able to get up towards that, Sheldrick being able to get up towards that, like, 510, 520, and Windhager around that 480, 490, and then have a little bit of spare cash, I'm guessing, from Wilmot and Johnson, as they'll be both like 520, 530, and be able to get up towards Laird, I guess. So that basically is the video, as there isn't much to talk about here with, I already went through basically McVeeve, and Ryan had a pretty off game and no one else here, but just a little bit of thoughts of how I'm going to improve my side in the future, and how Geelong and Melbourne probably won't be present, as they aren't really very high fantasy scoring teams. So that's the video. If I go back to the main screen, that's the first review of this round, and I'll be back with more reviews sometime in the future. Hopefully there'll be a couple more out on Monday, and then we'll get through them on Tuesday and get to all the other stuff on Wednesday and Thursday. So that's the video, and I'll see you guys in another one. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.